Hello and welcome to Growing in Uncertainty. My name is Tess Miller, and through my seminar and coaching business Wings Unfolded, I help people who love what they're doing, but they're not sure where it's going. And I create these videos mostly out of the experiences that I have had in my life, and I share those with you in the hopes that it can help bring comfort or maybe insight about some of the themes that you're working with in your life. And, I'm still working through a lot of these themes in my life too. So I'm hoping that we can grow in uncertainty together. Facebook just changed a whole bunch of things on this, and whoops, okay, I'm not sure that's what I wanted to do. But anyway, I'm hoping that everything looks, there we go. I just brightened it. I hope that everything looks okay on your end as a result of some of these changes that I'm noticing. But anyway, welcome. If you're on my email list, you had the benefit of seeing what I'm talking about today. If not, and you're interested in receiving my weekly newsletter, please feel free to hop on over to my website, www.tess-miller.com, and sign up to receive that. I send those out weekly just to kind of let you know what I'm thinking about. And okay, good. Thank you, Scott. Just to let you know what I'm working on, what I'm thinking about. But anyway, I've been thinking a lot about an experience that I have quite often when I go to work at the hospital where I'm a music practitioner. Oftentimes, there will be chit chat in the elevator, and people will ask me, how did you get into this, business of playing music at the bedside of the ill and dying? And I will launch into a shortened version, hopefully, of my career story and how I came to this place in my life. And they often will respond with, "Oh, wow, that is so great. That is that must be so much fun for you, and that must just make you so happy." And while yes, all of those things are true, it always seems like there's a note of jealousy in the way that these people respond to how I talk about my life and what's going on. And I've been reflecting on this idea of, when you chase after your dreams, there are certain consequences that do get overlooked by a lot of people if people haven't chased their dreams necessarily. Or there's the other side of that, which is you've chased your dreams and you're still struggling and you feel like there's something wrong with you, or something, that you're doing something wrong. And so I just kind of wanted to talk about some of the themes of consequences that have come up for me over the course of my career, in the hope that it can bring you comfort, that it can maybe illuminate some of the thoughts and feelings that you've had, and maybe naturalize some of those things for you. So, what I plan to do is share with you some of the stories and themes that I've experienced, and then I'm going to share my takeaway from having all of those experiences. And these experiences are going to come in the form of consequences, either negative or positive, because there can be positive consequences too. So the first story I'm going to share with you tonight has to do with a time in my life when I was a music student and I was experiencing really, really horrible stomach issues. Like, I would eat something and it would come right back up. Without going into detail, that's all I'll say on that. And I went to a doctor, of course, and I remember him, pressing on my stomach and, does it hurt here? Does it hurt there? And then he finally asked me, is there stress in your life? And I said, well, I mean, I'm a college student. And he said, oh, really? What are you studying? And I said, music. And he said, well, that's not stressful. And at first I thought he was joking. And then I realized he was totally serious. And while, yes, someone pursuing music might seem like, oh, yeah, that seems really easy and fun, on the other hand, I was taking a whole bunch of classes. I didn't have any time to myself. I was practicing at least 3 hours a day on top of the ensembles that I was playing in and having to practice that music too, and trying to stay on top of, at least 7 classes at a time because of the way that they structured the credit system. And it was a lot to balance. I quite often found that I had to say no to my friends and family when they would say, hey, do you want to hang out? Nope, sorry, I have to practice. That was more often than not my answer at the time. So, there was a fair amount of stress in my life, as there is for any college student. But, the fact that this doctor just kind of brushed it aside and said, well, you shouldn't feel stressed out about that, really, it really hurt. It really was dismissive in that moment. So anyway, what the consequence, I guess, of following my dream in college was that I had to learn how to balance all of those different things in my schedule. I had to learn how to basically be my own advocate when it came to my health and well-being. And that has been something that has come with me through the process. I mean, yes, one of the consequences was that I was at the time, really tired and stressed out in college. But the positive consequence of that experience was learning that, oh my gosh, if stress can take its toll on my body in this way and make me have stomach pains and not be able to eat food, I better do something to take care of myself. So that was one of the first wake-up calls I had in terms of my health and well-being when I was in college. So I'm glad I had that experience then in college rather than, it's my first year on the job and whoops, I'm so stressed out, I'm unhealthy. Something else that happened for me, another theme that happened for me kind of on and off again throughout my college career, was falling out of love with music. And that was the whole reason for being a music major, was because I had this love and passion for music, right? There were plenty of times when the magic was gone, the honeymoon was over, and I had to figure out how to continue on in my relationship with music and keep it healthy and strong. And so, again, the negative consequence here is that I fell out of love with music many, many times, and it was quite a turbulent relationship. But on the flip side of that, I think it has helped me develop strategies for the times in my life when I'm not in love with what I'm doing, but I know I need to do it anyway. And I know that instead of focusing on, I don't want to do this right now, I can focus on, well, on the other side of this, I'm going to get this reward, or I'm going to feel this way about it. We all have those things in our lives that we don't really want to do. But once we do them, we can see the rewards and the satisfaction for having done it. And we can see that it's temporary, right? Like the things that happen in any relationship, whether it's a conflict or anything like that, it's always temporary. So that was a really good lesson for me to learn as well. Another theme was, and I already sort of mentioned this already, was sacrificing doing some of the things that I really wanted to do with friends and family. I had to sacrifice certain, fun events, and there was also other kinds of sacrifices, like not having a guarantee of consistent income that's kind of part and parcel of being a musician as well. Not having job security, like you would have job security more with like a 9 to 5 job. But for a musician, it's like, well, kind of waiting for that next, concert to happen, or being called or whatever. So, that's kind of a sacrifice. You sacrifice the security and the stability that you might otherwise have in another profession. And one of the positive consequences of that was that I really learned how to value the time that I do have with friends and family. I've learned how to make time for those things too, because I see now how really, really important it is, not only to them, but also to me. I need that time too. And I also could see how I need to say no to certain gigs that might come my way, that might take up too much of my time, that might not be worth the money. So, learning that skill of saying no, when to say no, why to say no, how to say no, is a really great skill to have as well. And I might not otherwise have learned that doing anything else in my life. Another theme that has come up for me was having to create my own path. In music, oftentimes there is no one path. It's not like saying, I'm going to become an accountant, and this is the school that I choose, and these are the classes that I take, and then after I graduate, I am going to apply for these jobs, and I will get a job as an accountant, and then I go to work and law. There's a pretty clear path on how to become an accountant. Whereas for musicians, there are multiple paths. And while that can seem like fun, like, ooh, sky's the limit, at the same time, it can be really terrifying. Which path is the right one for me? And so I've really had to learn about myself. This is the positive consequence. I've had to really learn about myself and what floats my boat, what makes me happy, which opportunities I want to create versus the opportunities that I think belong to somebody else in the field. So that's been a real blessing as a result of not having a clear path. Another theme has been, a consequence has been, the fact that I have spent so much time in the music field that, while I'm somewhat of an expert on certain things in my field, I don't really know about a whole lot of other things. I haven't had an opportunity to really take classes in other subjects. I've done some reading on my own, and I've, kind of pushed the edges of what it is to be a music in terms of incorporating the therapeutic aspect of being a musician. But, otherwise, I do have other interests, but I haven't had the time to really pursue those. So that's been a sort of a negative consequence, but the positive consequence is that I do know what it takes to become an expert at something, and I know what that path entails. I know about the inner discipline and the how to motivate myself, how to handle myself when my energy is low. What do I need to do for myself to stay on top of my game and my expertise. So that's been a good outcome from that consequence. Another consequence that I've dealt with is, honestly, sometimes the people can be quite competitive. But I hear that that's the case in any field, whether it's music or being an accountant. I guess that's on the brain lately. Or, being a scientist, a teacher, it doesn't really matter. There are those moments of being in competition with other people. That's just human dynamics. And one of the positive aspects of being in a competitive situation with somebody else is that it has forced me out of my comfort zone. I do not like competition. at all. Oh, no, 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 no. I don't even like to watch competitive experiences in movies and TV. It bothers me. You know, my first thought is, why can't we all get along? Why can't we just work together? I don't even really like to play board games unless it's like a collaborative thing. So, you know, being in situations that are more competitive are very challenging for me. It's not in my natural wheelhouse to be that way. But on the other hand, you know, I do know what healthy competition looks like. I know the differences, and I can see the benefits personally for engaging in healthy competition. So another one, another consequence, and this is the last one I'll share tonight. Another consequence I've had to work with over the course of my career as a musician is that I don't always have control over the music that I get to play. You know, I don't always have control over how I get to play that music. Sometimes if I'm working in an orchestra situation, the director has the final say how he wants or she wants the music to be performed. And that can sometimes be challenging because in my head, I want to play it in a little bit different way. But the positive consequence of that is that I've learned that there are many different ways of enjoying and appreciating things that don't always have to do with, you know, whether it's aesthetically pleasing to me or not. I can appreciate, you know, being able to play in the way that my director wants me to and blend with the orchestra. And I can really appreciate the fact that I've done the work to be able to control my instrument in order to make the overall effect really powerful. You know, I can enjoy the teamwork aspect of playing in an ensemble in that way. Or I can enjoy certain colors. You know, maybe I don't necessarily enjoy the melodies, but I enjoy the colors that I'm hearing. So there are different elements that I can enjoy, and I can apply that to my life in a lot of ways too. You know, there might be certain situations in my life that I don't particularly care for, but I can at least know how to shift my perspective on it and say, yeah, I know that this situation right now is really a drag, but man, I'm really learning a lot about myself, and I'm learning a lot about X, Y, and Z, and I'm probably going to be pretty happy knowing that going forward. So, my takeaways from having looked at the consequences of following your dream, following your heart's path, following your passion in life is that, you know, number one, just because you're doing what you love doesn't mean you'll always love doing it. Doesn't mean you'll always feel totally and completely fulfilled all the time. Doesn't mean that it will be easy. It doesn't mean that you will always feel secure, certain, or safe in all aspects. And it doesn't mean that you'll be happy all the time. I mean, how realistic is it to expect all of those things to happen anyway, whether you're following your dream or not? It's probably not realistic at all. But the second thing, the second takeaway, is that in looking at all the positive consequences of following my dream, I can totally see that those positive experiences would not have happened without the negative. And I can absolutely see what I've learned along the way. You know, maybe I would have learned those things anyway if I had decided to follow a more traditional standard path. But knowing that the consequences I've experienced were because I followed my heart made all of the lessons that I learned that much more meaningful for me. You know, my heart was at stake every time I had a challenge or an obstacle to get through. I was more motivated to meet all the challenges that I faced. and I had more awareness about the challenges for me and why they were challenges for me and what it would take to overcome them. And when I did every step of the way, as I have overcome challenges and obstacles, I end up feeling so empowered as a result of, working towards, being able to support my dream, my heart's desire. So I hope this message resonates with you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate your presence whenever you watch these videos. And please like, share, subscribe if you can. It really helps me out a lot. If you think other people need to see these or could benefit from watching these videos and hearing these messages, please share with them. And you can stay tuned to any of my updates on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Did I forget anything? Oh yeah, my website, www.tess-miller.com. And if there's anything that you want help related to following your dream, following your passion, or transitioning from, what you were doing to what you've always wanted to do, please feel free to reach out to me on message. I'm happy to engage with you and talk to you and see how we can get your life moving more in the direction that you've always wanted. So remember that it's okay to be stuck, but you don't have to stay there. Have an amazing week and take care.